Well, hello. It's been a little while since I've spoken to you via my blog. Thank you very much for coming back to see what's up now. Look, there are a few things I was wanting to raise with you. First of all, certainly for staff, you'll be well aware that in an email that was sent out a little while ago now by the Senior Deputy Vice-Chancellor, Professor Chris Coughlin, the university community is invited to have a look at the JCU in the Future website to explore and think about 4 scenarios that have been developed and placed on the web for us to have a bit of a think about. I'd encourage everybody to have a look at that and indeed to have a think about them and to see how you react. I think it'll be very interesting for you and very good for us all if we can get the sort of feedback that we need to help us as we chart the future course for the university. Now, look, if you have a mind to do that, can I just please suggest to you that read the preamble to the scenarios. I know it's very compelling to want to go straight there and read those, but if you read the beginning, the preamble to the scenarios, what you'll hear there and what you'll find is some insight about what scenarios are, perhaps you already know, but really what they're meant to achieve and how, I guess, you're invited to respond to them. So the idea is not that we're trying to say one of these 4 will be the future of JCU, but rather each of them engage different aspects of what the future context might look like and what JCU might look like and what it might be doing in the future. And each of us are invited to react to that, to say, well, what do we think about that? What's important and what are the challenges in that for us? There are a series of questions that you're invited to contemplate, and those are listed on the web, and you can certainly engage with the process that way. But in addition, there'll be focus groups and there'll be opportunities across the university for you to come along and engage personally in a discussion on this issue. So the first item I was wanting to bring to your attention is one that the scenarios are indeed there. I know for staff you're aware of that because you've received an email about that. But I'm just going to encourage you to have a look at that. At the end of the day, I guess all of us will bring a particular perspective and set of knowledges around the future and our own thoughts and hopes and wishes for the university, and the outcome will be better for sharing those ideas to see what we can make of them. So look, thank you very much for that in advance. It's an important moment, a very important moment in the project of JCU in the future, and I really do hope and invite you again to participate fully in that. That's one thing. Secondly, I guess on the national stage, we're waiting to hear the outcome of the federal government mid-year budget review. Now we know that the government is determined to find savings and in order to deliver a surplus at next budget time. And you know, universities, higher education, like all areas of federal government, are sort of a little bit concerned about what that might mean for us. We've certainly heard lots of different rumours about potential cuts, but we don't know the truth of any of that right now. I guess I just wanted to raise with you, not in order that you should worry alongside me about how this might pan out, but rather to say that you know, this is a live issue for us all. We'll have a bit of a think about what happens in the aftermath of that. We're not anticipating any major, you know, decreases in funding to teaching and learning or to specific programs. I guess what's been spoken about most is the potential for some reductions in funding for research activities. Now that will worry us like it'll worry a lot of universities. You know, clearly it's very difficult to have money that we're anticipating, particularly through the SRE, not come through on time, because all of us have anticipated the build in the research, in the revenue that's coming in that way from government. So there's no easy out here, and one understands the government's in a position where it needs to act. I guess like many sectors and many across the nation, universities too will look with great interest to see what that might mean for us when the mid-year budget review, the reforecast, is brought down. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens there, and certainly I'll keep you abreast of what that might mean for us once the future scenario, or future, not scenario, the actual future is clear on that. So that's another issue that I'm thinking through at the moment. A couple of other things I wanted to mention to you. We've had some wonderful events at the university just recently. We hosted, I don't know if you're aware of this, but we hosted the National Indigenous Tertiary education student games. We did that up in Cairns, and a variety of different sports were played, and there were terrific achievements from the students who participated from universities across the country. A rather nice feature for us was that we won overall champion university, which was fantastic, and I was just very delighted to be there at the closing ceremony with those students, and to have heard that they were to receive that award, and I know that this was received with some delight. It felt a little bit like, you know, your own birthday party and perhaps winning the prize, but all the same, the student performances were there. There were independent referees, of course, and the students did extremely well. So it was a pleasure for us to host the student games, and it was just an added bonus that students from JCU did so very well. So my congratulations to them. Just last night we had a lecture, and this is the Les Power lecture, which is a very important lecture, annual lecture for the university. Professor Power was a chemist of long standing at the university, and this particular lecture is a memorial to him. And we always have really very outstanding people delivering this lecture, and last night was no exception. I guess the nice circularity of last night in one way was that the person who used to prosper the Power lecture and do all the organising, and certainly I would meet on an annual basis in anticipation of the lecture and who we might invite to do that, was distinguished Professor Richard Keane. Now, Richard Keane had done this for many years, certainly since the memorial lecture began, as I understand it. And last night, of course, Richard retires on Friday, officially on Friday this week. He was the person who was invited to be the Les Power Memorial Lecturer, and he did a wonderful job looking at research about handedness, left and right handedness, or chirality as he was describing it to us, and how this features in the world, and particularly its importance in terms of chemistry. But it's a much broader importance than that. It's important in terms of drug development, in disease, focusing on disease and coming up with answers to really very intractable problems as well. So there was a great deal of lightheartedness as we looked at snails, shells, and we looked at art, and we looked at literature. We really did span all the disciplines, and we also learnt a deal about chemistry, and I thoroughly enjoyed it, and Richard did a fabulous job. So that was a wonderful event that we had. In addition, coming up at the end of next week, so on the Thursday and Friday, late next week, and I'm just trying to make sure I get the dates. I think it might be the 25th and 26th of October. We have the last lecture. Now, you'll recall that the last lecture is a tradition that we started a few years ago, where we have the last lecture of the regular academic period for the year delivered by one of our outstanding professors, outstanding researchers. This year, that lecture is going to be delivered by Professor Natalie Stokel, who is an economist, works in economic development, and she's going to be adopting a tropical theme in that. I'm very much looking forward to that. It's on Thursday that week in Cairns and on Friday in Townsville, and you'll certainly be able to nut out and find out precisely the date, the times, and confirm those dates by looking at the web as well. So that's terrific as well. The last thing I wanted to leave you with was a simple acknowledgement. Again, so many things have happened during the week. We had our celebrating research week, which I think went very well. We certainly had some fantastic news with the rewarding of a number of our colleagues for their excellence in teaching and learning. We've had ceremonies and the opportunity to provide those awards to the people concerned. I simply want to say Alan, Jane, Sharon, Lynette, Paul and Lynn, you all have done a fantastic job, and I'm just very proud. I think we should all be very proud of what you've achieved over many years in a number of cases, probably in all cases, in contributing to and enhancing the student learning experience here at JCU. So congratulations to you all. Look, perhaps that's it for now. I look forward to seeing you around, perhaps seeing you at the last lecture. I'll be there, and I enjoy always catching up with you. So look, have a good week, the final weeks, as we go down into the end of the semester, and I look forward to catching up with you around and about. Thank you very much again. Bye.